The fluorescent lights of the diner buzzed their final protest as Maya wiped down the last booth, her lower back aching from 8 straight hours on her feet. Outside the smudged windows, Bakersfield's summer heat had finally broken into a thick, humid night that clung to everything like wet cotton, the kind of night where the air sat heavy in your lungs and sweat formed before you even moved. It was past midnight when she pushed through the back door into the employee parking lot, her sneakers scuffing against gravel still warm from the day's relentless sun. The lot was poorly lit, just 2 flickering street lamps casting uneven pools of sickly yellow light across the cracked asphalt. Her white Honda Civic sat alone in the far corner, exactly where she'd left it 10 hours ago. Maya's keys jangled in her hand as she approached, her tired mind already planning the drive home. She was 5 feet from her car when she heard them, male voices loud and loose with alcohol, echoing from somewhere behind the dumpsters. Her stomach tightened instinctively. She kept walking, faster now, fishing for her key fob. Hey, waitress! Maya's fingers found the unlock button. The Civic's lights flashed once. She reached for the door handle. I'm talking to you. 3 of them emerged from the shadows, stumbling slightly. The one in front wore a stained Bakersfield Condors jersey, his face flushed red beneath a backwards cap. The others flanked him, one shirtless despite the heat, the other in a tank top showing off amateur ink. Didn't you hear him? Tank top called out, words slurring. My boy's trying to talk to you. Maya pulled her door open, heart hammering. I'm leaving. Have a good night. Don't be like that. Jersey moved faster than she expected, his hand slapping against her window just as she tried to close the door. We just want to talk. You were real friendly inside, bringing us those refills. That was my job. Maya tried to pull the door closed, but he held it, his breath reeking of whiskey as he leaned down. Your job was being nice to us, right? His friends had caught up now, forming a semicircle around her door. So be nice now. We could make your night way more interesting than whatever's waiting at home. Maya's hand found her phone, but the shirtless one saw the movement and laughed. Who you gonna call? Cops take 20 minutes to get here. Jersey knocked on her window again, harder this time, making her flinch. Come on, just one drink. There's a bar 2 blocks down, or we could go somewhere more private. His eyes traveled down her body with an expression that made her skin crawl. I said I'm leaving. Maya's voice shook, betraying the fear coursing through her. You're leaving when we say you can leave. Tank Top moved closer, his hand on her car's roof, boxing her in. The shirtless one had circled to her passenger side, grinning through the glass. The parking lot suddenly felt impossibly isolated. The diner was locked up tight. The nearest business had been dark for hours. She was alone with 3 drunk men who had decided she was their entertainment, and every instinct screamed danger. Maya's hands gripped the steering wheel so hard her knuckles went white. She could feel her breath coming too fast, too shallow. The edge of panic was creeping in. She had no good options. If she tried to drive away with her door open, they could grab her. If she tried to close the door, they wouldn't let her. Jersey leaned in closer, his face now inches from hers, that dangerous glaze in his eyes. What's it gonna be, sweetheart? Easy way or? The roar of the motorcycle engine shattered the night like a gunshot. All 4 of them turned toward the sound. A single headlight cut through the darkness at the parking lot's entrance, bright and unwavering. The engine's rumble was deep, powerful, the kind you felt in your chest before you fully heard it. It approached slowly, deliberately, with controlled menace. The bike was massive, a Harley all chrome and black metal, its rider a dark silhouette. As it drew closer, details emerged. Worn leather vest over a black t-shirt, the unmistakable patch on the back, jeans and heavy boots, arms marked with ink. The Hell's Angel pulled into the parking lot and stopped about 15 feet away, close enough that his headlight pinned all of them in harsh glare. He didn't kill the engine immediately. Instead, he let it rumble for a long moment, establishing his presence. Then silence, broken only by the tick of cooling metal and Maya's ragged breathing. The rider dismounted with practiced ease, boots hitting pavement with weight and intention. He was tall, over 6 feet, with shoulders that filled out the leather vest in a way that suggested real strength. His face was partially shadowed beneath dark hair that brushed his collar, but Maya could see the sharp line of his jaw, the set of his mouth, the way his eyes moved across the scene with cold calculation. He didn't say anything at first. He simply stood there, one hand resting on his belt, and looked at each of the 3 men in turn. The message was wordless but absolutely clear. I see what's happening here, and it ends now. Jersey straightened up, trying to recover some bravado. This isn't your business, man. The angel's voice, when he finally spoke, was low and measured, with a calm that was far more threatening than any shout. Step away from the car. We're just talking to... Step away from the car. Each word was delivered with precision, stripped of emotion but carrying the promise of consequences. Tank Top tried a different approach, false friendliness. Hey, look, we don't want any trouble. We know who you are. But this is just between us and the lady, you know? The angel took 2 steps forward, and something in the way he moved, balanced, ready, absolutely unafraid, made all 3 men shift nervously. I'm going to say this once more. Back away from her car, walk to wherever you parked and get the fuck out of here. Or we can do this another way. Your choice. You got 5 seconds to decide. Maya watched from inside her car, her heart still pounding, but the nature of her fear subtly shifting. The danger hadn't lessened. It had intensified, but it had been redirected. She was no longer the target. The shirtless one was the first to move, stepping back from her passenger window. Man, fuck this, she ain't worth it. That's smart, the angel said, his eyes never leaving Jersey, who was clearly the leader and most reluctant to back down. For a long moment, Jersey didn't move. Maya could see the calculation happening behind his bloodshot eyes, pride warring with survival instinct. Finally, he let go of her door and stepped back, hands coming up in a gesture that was half surrender, half mockery. Whatever, man. We were leaving anyway. He spat on the ground near her tire and turned away. The angel didn't move until all 3 had walked past him, heading toward a beat-up Chevy truck parked on the street. He stood perfectly still, watching, making sure they actually left. The truck's engine coughed to life and it pulled away with an angry squeal of tires. Only then did the angel turn his full attention to Maya. She should have felt relief. The danger had passed, but as he walked toward her car, his boots crunching on gravel, that headlight still illuminating him from behind, Maya realized her hands were still shaking, trembling even harder than before. He stopped a few feet from her open door, close enough that she had to look up to meet his eyes. They were dark, brown or maybe black, she couldn't tell, and they studied her with an intensity that made her breath catch. Not threatening exactly, but not soft either. Assessing. You hurt? His voice was different now, still low, but with the edge removed, almost gentle. Maya shook her head, not trusting her voice. They touch you? Another head shake. No, you got here. You got here before. Good. He glanced back toward the street where the truck had disappeared, then back to her. You work here? The diner, yes, I just finished my shift. He nodded slowly, his eyes scanning the empty parking lot, the closed building, the inadequate lighting. You work late shifts often? 3, 4 times a week. And you park here? Alone? There was something in his tone that made her defensive despite everything. I don't have a choice, I need the job. I'm not criticizing you. He shifted his weight and Maya noticed the way he stood, balanced, ready, like violence was a possibility he was always prepared for. I'm saying this place is a problem. Shit lighting, no security, isolated. And now you've got 3 drunk assholes who know where you work and what time you get off. The reality of that hit her like cold water. He was right. They knew. They could come back. Maya started, then stopped, overwhelmed suddenly by the weight of it all. Don't thank me yet. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a phone. What's your number? What? Your phone number, I'm giving you mine. Those idiots come back, you call me immediately. Before you call the cops, because I'll get here faster. When she hesitated, he added, I'm not hitting on you. I'm making sure you don't end up a statistic. There's a difference. Maya rattled off her number, watching as he typed it in. A moment later, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. No message. That's me. Save it. He slipped his phone away. What time you work tomorrow? I'm off tomorrow, back Thursday night, same shift. He considered this, his jaw working slightly. Thursday I'll be here when you get off. Make sure you make it to your car safe. You don't have to. Yeah, I do. Something in his expression shifted, became harder. I saw what was about to happen here. You know what those 3 would have done if I hadn't shown up? Maya did know. She'd known it in her bones. So I'm making sure it doesn't happen, he continued. Thursday night, whatever time you get off, I'll be here. You walk to your car, I make sure you get in safe, you drive home. That's it. Why? The question came out before she could stop it. Why would you do that for a stranger? He was quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes holding hers. Finally, he said, because I can, and because nobody else will. What's your name? she asked softly. Cole. He didn't offer a last name. Maya. Maya. He repeated it once as if committing it to memory. Get home safe, lock your doors. Thursday night, I'll see you here. He turned and walked back to his motorcycle. The engine roared to life again, and he swung the bike around. Before he pulled away, he looked back at her one more time, and even from that distance Maya could feel the weight of his gaze. Then he was gone, the motorcycle's taillight disappearing into the Bakersfield night, and Maya was alone again. But it felt different now. The shadows weren't quite as threatening. She closed her car door, locked it, and sat for a moment with her hands still on the steering wheel. They were shaking, still shaking, but she couldn't tell anymore if it was from fear or from something else entirely. Something about the way Cole had looked at her, the controlled violence in his movements, the absolute certainty that he would have hurt those men if they hadn't backed down. She should have been afraid of him too. He was dangerous, maybe more dangerous than the three drunks combined, but instead she felt something that made her breath come short and her pulse quicken in a way that had nothing to do with fear. Maya started her car and pulled out of the parking lot, and for the first time in the 2 years she'd worked that late shift, she wasn't checking her rearview mirror every 30 seconds. She was thinking about dark eyes and leather vests and the kind of man who could make 3 predators back down with nothing but his presence. And she was counting the hours until Thursday night. Maya hadn't slept well. Wednesday dragged by in a haze of nervous energy and questions she didn't want to examine too closely. She'd saved Cole's number in her phone under just his first name. No explanation. Just those 4 letters that somehow carried more weight than they should. Thursday evening arrived with the same oppressive heat. Maya's shift started at 4, and by the time she tied her apron, the diner's ancient air conditioning was already losing the battle against August's fury. The dinner rush was steady. Truckers stopping off Highway 99. Local families grabbing burgers, the usual regulars. But Maya's mind kept drifting to the parking lot, to what had happened, to what Cole had promised. You all right, honey? Linda, the other waitress, touched her elbow as they passed. Linda was 50-something, been working at the diner for 15 years, had maternal instinct that picked up on everything. You've been jumpy all night. I'm fine. Just tired. Linda's eyes narrowed with concern. You sure? You look like you've seen a ghost. Maya forced a smile. Really, I'm good. Just didn't sleep great. She couldn't tell Linda what had happened Tuesday night. How could she explain it? The word sounded insane even in her own head. The shift crawled forward. 7, 8, 9. The dinner crowd thinned out, replaced by late-night coffee drinkers and the occasional drunk looking to sober up. At 10:30, the cook started breaking down the kitchen. By 11, it was just Maya and Linda wiping down tables. You need me to walk you out tonight? Linda asked as they cashed out at 11:45. I know you park in the back, but my car's out front. I could drive around. Maya's heart clenched at the kindness. No, I'll be fine, but thank you. Those men who were here Tuesday, Linda said carefully, lowering her voice. The ones at table 6. They gave me bad vibes. They give you any trouble? So Linda had noticed. Of course she had. They waited for me in the parking lot, Maya admitted quietly. But someone helped me. Made sure I was okay. Linda's expression shifted through several emotions. Alarm, anger, protective fury, and finally resignation. This job, she said softly. Sometimes I hate what it puts us through. You should report it to Rick. Rick was the manager, ultimately useless when it came to anything requiring actual action. What's he going to do? He can't afford security. Maya shook her head. It's fine. I'm being more careful now. Linda looked like she wanted to argue, but the cook called out from the kitchen that he was heading out and the moment passed. They finished closing, turned out the main lights, and locked up together. Linda's car was parked under one of the better streetlights. You sure you're okay getting to your car? Linda asked one more time. I'm sure. Drive safe. Maya watched Linda pull away, and then she stood alone in the humid night. The diner's exterior lights cast long shadows, but the employee lot behind the building was invisible from here. A separate darkness she'd have to walk into. Her phone read 12:07 a.m. Her shift had run over by 7 minutes because of a last-minute customer. Those 7 minutes felt significant somehow. Maya walked around the side of the building. The employee parking lot came into view, and her breath caught. He was there. Cole's motorcycle was parked near the entrance, chrome gleaming under the flickering street lamp. He stood beside it, one boot propped against the rear tire, arms crossed. He'd clearly been waiting, and the sight of him, solid, real, exactly as he'd promised, made something in Maya's chest tighten painfully. He straightened when he saw her, his posture shifting from casual to alert. In the uncertain light, he looked even more intimidating than she remembered. The leather vest hung open over a gray t-shirt that showed off arms covered in detailed ink. His jeans were worn, boots heavy and scarred. He looked like exactly what he was. Dangerous. "You're late," he said as she approached, but there was no accusation in his tone, just observation. "Customer at the last minute, I couldn't just leave." Cole glanced past her toward the diner, then scanned the parking lot with systematic attention. "Where's your car?" Maya pointed to the Honda still sitting alone in the far corner. Cole's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Tomorrow night, park closer to the entrance. The closer spots are for—" "I don't care what they're for." His eyes moved back to her face. "You park where I can see your car from the street, where you've got 30 feet to walk instead of 100. "Okay." The agreement came automatically. "Anyone bother you inside tonight?" "No, just regular customers." "Those 3 from Tuesday show up?" "No, haven't seen them." Cole nodded slowly, processing this. "Doesn't mean they won't. Guys like that, they stew on things. You see them anywhere near here, you call me immediately." "I will. Even if you're inside. Even if there are other people around, you call me." "I will," Maya repeated, and meant it. They stood there for a moment in the thick night air, and Maya became acutely aware of how alone they were. The parking lot was empty. The diner was dark. Chester Avenue was quiet. It was just the two of them in this pool of weak yellow light. "I'll walk you to your car," Cole finally said. They crossed the parking lot side by side, not quite close enough to touch, but near enough that Maya could feel the heat radiating from him, could catch the scent of leather and motor oil and something else. Just him. Her hands were shaking again, that same trembling that had started Tuesday night. When they reached her Honda, Cole did another visual sweep. The dumpsters, the back fence, the dark spaces between street lamps, checking for threats. It should have felt paranoid, but instead it felt protective. Maya unlocked her car and opened the door, then turned back to him. "Thank you for coming, for keeping your promise. I don't make promises I won't keep." His voice had dropped lower, intimate in the darkness. "What time tomorrow?" "Same. Midnight, probably. I'll be here." "Cole, you don't have to do this every night. You're not asking. I'm telling you I'll be here." He shifted his weight, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked almost uncomfortable. "Look, those guys Tuesday night, that situation, it was bad and it was about to get worse. I've seen it go wrong too many times. You've done this before. It wasn't a question. Not exactly this. But yeah, I've stepped in before. When I see something wrong, when I see someone about to be hurt, I don't walk away. Can't." His jaw worked. "Some people see something bad happening and they look the other way. I'm not built like that." Maya studied his face, trying to understand what drove him. "What do you get out of this?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, why? Why do you care if something happens to me? You don't know me." He was quiet for a long moment, and Maya watched emotions flicker across his face. Finally he said, "Maybe I want to. Know you." The words hung in the humid air, charged with possibility. "You're dangerous," Maya said, and she wasn't entirely sure if she was talking about the club or something more personal. "Yeah," he didn't deny it. "I am, but not to you." "How do I know that?" "Because if I wanted to hurt you, I would have done it Tuesday night when you were vulnerable and alone. Instead, I made sure you got home safe." He took a step closer, and Maya's back pressed against her car door. Not threatening, but deliberate. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "I'm a lot of things, Maya. I've done things that would probably scare the hell out of you if you knew the details. But I don't hurt women, ever. That's a line I don't cross." "What about other lines?" A ghost of a smile touched his mouth, the first time she'd seen anything close to humor from him. "I've crossed plenty of those. But the ones that matter, the ones about protecting people who need it, those I keep." Maya's heart was hammering. She should get in her car. She should drive away. She should not be standing here in a dark parking lot at midnight talking to a man who openly admitted to being dangerous. But she didn't move. "When you walked up to those men Tuesday," she said quietly, "when you made them back down, I watched you. You would have hurt them if they hadn't left. Yes. Badly. Yes. That should scare me. Does it?" His voice had dropped even lower, rough and quiet. Maya swallowed hard. "No. That's what scares me. Cole studied her for a long moment, weighing her admission. When he spoke again, his voice was careful. You've got good instincts. Listen to them. If being around me feels wrong, you trust that and walk away. But if your instincts are telling you something else. He trailed off and Maya understood what he wasn't saying. Her instincts were screaming at her, but not with warnings. With recognition of power and control and the kind of strength that came from absolute certainty. I should go, she said, but didn't move. Yeah, you should. He didn't move either. They stood there in the yellow lamplight, close enough that she could see the faint scar along his jawline, could count the silver rings on his fingers, could feel the barely restrained energy radiating from him. The air between them felt thick, charged. Finally, Cole stepped back, deliberately breaking the moment. Get in your car. Lock the doors. Text me when you get home so I know you made it safe. Maya slid into her driver's seat and started the engine. Cole stood watching as she closed the door, waiting until she'd locked it before he turned away. She sat there for a heartbeat longer, watching him walk back to his motorcycle with that loose, confident stride. She drove home with her mind racing. The rational part of her brain was screaming warnings, but underneath that, drowning out the rational voice, was something more primal. The memory of how she'd felt when Cole had stepped between her and those drunk men. The way her body had responded to his presence, his protection, his barely leashed violence. When she got home, she sent him a text. Home safe. Thank you again. His response came 30 seconds later. Good. Same time tomorrow. Maya stared at those 4 words and something in her chest twisted tight. She was in trouble. Not the kind that announced itself with drunk men and parking lot confrontations, but the kind that crept up quietly and consumed you before you realized what was happening. She was attracted to him. Deeply, viscerally attracted in a way she hadn't felt in years. Maybe ever. And it wasn't despite the danger, but because of it. Because of the way he carried violence like a second skin but turned it outward. Used it to protect. She was attracted to the power, the control, the absolute certainty he had in himself. And that should have terrified her. Instead, as she lay in bed staring at her ceiling fan, all she could think about was the way his voice had dropped when he asked if being around him scared her. The way he'd stepped closer but hadn't touched her, giving her space even while making his interest clear. The way he'd looked at her like she mattered. Maya closed her eyes and tried to sleep, but all she saw was dark eyes and leather vests, and the promise of protection wrapped in danger. Tomorrow night felt both too far away and too close. She was counting hours again, but this time it wasn't out of fear. Friday night, Cole was there again, and Saturday, and Sunday. It became a routine Maya found herself building her entire day around. She'd work her shift, constantly aware of the clock ticking down to midnight. When the diner finally closed, she'd walk around the building to the back lot, now parking in the closer spots, and he'd be there. Always. They'd talk while he walked her to her car. Small things at first. How was her shift? Any problems with customers? Any sign of the 3 men? But gradually the conversations deepened, became something more than safety checks. She learned he'd grown up in Bakersfield, knew the city like the back of his hand. He'd been riding motorcycles since 16, joined the club at 22, been with them for 12 years. He was 34, never married, no kids. He worked construction during the day, skilled labor, framing and finish work, and the club was his life outside of that. What about you? He asked on Sunday night, leaning against her Honda while she stood with her back to the driver's door. They were closer now than they'd been that first night, the careful distance shrinking. Diner waitress, your career plan? Maya laughed, the sound bitter. God, no. I'm in school. Bakersfield College, working toward transferring to a 4-year psychology degree eventually. The diner's just how I pay rent. Psychology. Cole's eyebrow rose. So you want to get inside people's heads? Something like that. Understand why people do what they do. What do you think drives me? The question came out low, almost challenging. Maya studied him in the yellow lamplight. Control, she said finally. You need to feel in control. When you see chaos, when you see someone vulnerable, you step in because letting it happen feels like losing control of a situation you could have handled. Cole's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. You got that from 4 nights of talking? Am I wrong? No. He shifted, and Maya noticed the way his jaw tightened. My old man was a mean drunk. Beat my mother for 15 years before she finally left. I was 12. Watched it happen more times than I can count, too small to stop it. Promised myself when I grew up I'd never be that powerless again. If I saw someone hurting someone weaker, I'd end it. The confession hung between them, raw and honest. I'm sorry that you had to see that. Made me who I am. Cole's eyes found hers. Good and bad. I've got a temper, won't pretend I don't. And I've done things, hurt people who deserved it. But that line, hitting women, scaring them, that's where I draw it. That's where a lot of us draw it. The club. Yeah. People see the patches and think we're all criminals, all violent. Some of that's earned, I won't lie. But we've got rules, code. And one of them is you don't hurt women or kids. You do that, you're out. Or worse. Maya processed this, fitting it into the picture she'd been building. Tuesday night when you showed up. That wasn't random, was it? Club business. Had a meeting nearby. Was heading home when I saw those three circling your car like sharks. His expression hardened. Knew what was about to happen if someone didn't intervene. And you just decided to make me your responsibility? Cole was quiet for a moment. It wasn't like that. Yeah. At first it was just about making sure you were safe. But then what? He looked at her directly, pinning her with that intense gaze. Then I started coming back because I wanted to see you. Not just to make sure you were safe, but because I liked talking to you. Liked the way you're not afraid to push back, ask hard questions. Liked, he trailed off, jaw working. Liked what? Maya's voice came out barely above a whisper. Liked the way you look at me. Cole pushed off from her car, closing the remaining distance until he was right there, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him. Most people, when they find out what I am, they get scared or judgmental. But you don't look at me like I'm either a threat or a criminal. You look at me like you're trying to figure me out, like I'm a puzzle you want to solve. Maya's back was pressed against her car door, pulse racing. Maybe you are, and maybe that's dangerous for both of us. His hand came up, not touching her but braced against the car beside her head, effectively caging her in. I'm not a good guy, Maya. I need you to understand that. I've broken laws, hurt people, done things that would make you lose sleep. You keep saying that like you're trying to scare me away. I'm trying to be honest, because I can see where this is going, and I need you to go into it with your eyes open. His face was inches from hers now. You feel it too? This thing between us, and it's not just gratitude, it's something else. What is it? Maya asked, even though she knew. It's the danger. Cole's eyes searched hers. The power. The fact that I could hurt people, but I choose to use it to protect you instead. That draws you in, doesn't it? Makes you feel safe and scared at the same time. He was calling her out, making her face the truth she'd been dancing around. Maya's breath came short. Yes, that's not healthy. But he didn't move away. Didn't give her space. You shouldn't be attracted to someone because they're dangerous. I'm not attracted to you because you're dangerous. Maya met his eyes, forcing herself to be as honest as he was being. I'm attracted to you because when everything went wrong, when I was terrified, you stepped in. You made me feel safe. And yeah, the way you did it, the power you have, that's part of it. But it's not all of it. What's the rest? The way you show up. Her voice strengthened. The way you keep your promises. The way you listen. The way you're honest about who you are instead of pretending. The way you look at me like I matter. Cole's jaw clenched and Maya watched him wrestle with something internal. When he spoke again, his voice was strained. You do matter. That's the problem. Because I'm not the kind of guy who should matter to someone like you. Someone like me. Someone with a future. Someone going to school. Building a life. You've got plans. Goals. I'm a construction worker with a criminal record who spends his free time with a motorcycle club the feds watch. His hand came up and this time he did touch her. Just his fingertips grazing her jaw, featherlight. You should want nothing to do with me. Too late for that. The words came out breathless. Something snapped behind Cole's eyes. Some final restraint breaking. Yeah, he said roughly. It is. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle. His mouth claimed hers with an intensity that bordered on aggressive, all the careful control he'd maintained finally giving way. Maya gasped against his lips and his hand slid into her hair, tilting her head back, deepening the kiss until she couldn't think, couldn't breathe, could only feel. She grabbed onto his vest, fingers twisting in the leather, using it as an anchor. He tasted like cigarettes and danger and something darker she couldn't name but desperately wanted. His body pressed against hers, pinning her to the car, and the solid weight of him made something inside her ignite. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Cole's forehead rested against hers, his hand still tangled in her hair. Tell me to stop, he said roughly. Tell me this is a bad idea and you want me to walk away. Maya's heart was hammering. I can't. Why not? Because I don't want you to stop. I don't want you to walk away. She opened her eyes, found his face inches from hers, his dark eyes burning. I want whatever this is, even if it's dangerous, even if it's stupid. Cole made a sound low in his throat, something between a growl and a groan. You're killing me, you know that? Good. Maya surprised herself with her boldness, reaching up to touch his face, feeling the rough stubble beneath her palm. Because you've been killing me all week, showing up every night, being all protective, making me want things I shouldn't want. Like what? Like this. You. All of it. She kissed him this time, rising up on her toes and felt him shudder against her. His arms wrapped around her waist, lifting her slightly, pressing her more firmly against the car. They made out in that parking lot like teenagers, lost in the taste and feel of each other. Cole's hands were everywhere. Her hair, her waist, her hips, but always controlled, always restrained, like he was consciously holding himself back. When they broke apart again, Maya's lips felt swollen, and her body thrummed with need. Cole looked wrecked. I need to go, he said, but didn't move. I need to get on my bike and leave before I do something we'll both regret. What would we regret? Me asking you to come home with me. You saying yes? Us crossing lines we can't come back from. Maya's stomach clenched at the images his words conjured. And if I want to cross those lines? Not tonight. Cole's voice was firm despite the strain in it. Not in a parking lot at 1 a.m. when you're running on adrenaline. When it happens, if it happens, it's going to be because you've thought it through. Because you understand what you're getting into and you choose it anyway. It was the right thing to say, but Maya felt frustration anyway. You keep trying to talk me out of wanting you. I'm trying to give you space to think clearly. He brushed his thumb across her lower lip, the gesture tender. Because once we go there, once we really start this, there's no going back. And I need you to be sure. Not caught up in the moment. Sure. Maya wanted to argue, but part of her knew he was right. This was big. This was choosing to get involved with someone whose world was fundamentally different from hers. Someone whose life came with risks she couldn't fully understand yet. Okay, she said finally. You're right. Cole looked almost surprised. Yeah? Yeah? But Cole? She waited until he met her eyes. I'm not going to change my mind. So when I've thought it through, when I'm sure, you better be ready. A slow, dangerous smile spread across his face. The first real smile she'd seen. Oh, I'll be ready. He kissed her one more time. Slower, but no less intense. Then forced himself to step back. Get in your car, text me when you get home. Maya did as he said, but before closing the door, she looked up at him. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. And Maya? He leaned down, his voice dropping. Think carefully. Because when you decide you're sure, I'm not going to hold back. She drove home with her mind spinning and her body still humming. When she got to her apartment, she sent him the text. Home safe. And Cole? I'm already sure. His response came 5 minutes later. Then God help us both. Monday, Maya called in sick. Not because she was actually ill, but because she needed time to think without the distraction of work. She spent the day in her apartment, alternating between studying for her psychology midterm and obsessively checking her phone. He texted around noon. You okay? Called in sick. Needed a day. Sick or avoiding me? Maya smiled. Not avoiding you. Thinking. Dangerous. A pause then. What conclusion are you coming to? Same one I already told you. But you wanted me to be sure. So I'm making sure. When's your next shift? Tomorrow night? Same time. I'll be there. Maya set her phone down and tried to focus on her textbook, a chapter on attachment theory and relationship dynamics. The irony wasn't lost on her. Here she was, studying the psychology behind human connection, while actively choosing to pursue a relationship that probably checked every box on the unhealthy attachment list. But was it really unhealthy? Cole had been nothing but honest with her. He'd warned her about who he was, what he was capable of. He hadn't promised to change or pretended to be anything other than what he was, and when things had gotten intense, he'd been the one to pump the brakes. That didn't fit the profile of a manipulative partner. If anything, he was giving her every opportunity to walk away. Her phone rang. Her mother. She almost didn't answer, but guilt won out. Hi, Mom. Maya, sweetheart. I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. How's school? They fell into the familiar rhythm. Her mother asking rapid-fire questions. Maya providing abbreviated answers. Yes, school was fine. Yes, work was fine. Yes, she was eating real meals. Are you seeing anyone? Her mother asked, and Maya's stomach clenched. Kind of. Maybe. It's new. What's his name? What does he do? Maya imagined telling her mother the truth. That would go over well. His name's Cole. He does construction. Both true, just incomplete. Construction. Well, that's good. Honest work. How did you meet? At the diner. Also technically true. They talked for a few more minutes before her mother had to go, and Maya hung up feeling vaguely guilty for the lies of omission. But what was she supposed to say? Her mother still thought Bakersfield was too dangerous. Finding out her daughter was getting involved with someone from a motorcycle club would probably trigger an immediate demand that Maya move home. Tuesday night came faster than Maya expected. She went to work with her stomach in knots, hyper-aware of every hour that passed. The shift was busy. Some youth sports tournament had brought families pouring into town, and the diner was packed until almost 11. By the time they closed up, Maya was exhausted but wired. She walked around the building to the back lot, and there he was. But something was different tonight. Cole was leaning against his motorcycle, but he wasn't alone. 2 other men stood with him, both in leather vests with the same patches, both watching her approach with expressions she couldn't quite read. Maya's steps slowed, uncertainty creeping in. Cole straightened when he saw her hesitation. It's okay. They're brothers. I asked them to come. The taller of the 2 stepped forward, offering his hand. I'm Reaper. That's Bones. He gestured to the other man who was shorter but built like a tank. Cole told us what went down here last week. We wanted to check on the situation. Maya shook Reaper's hand, then Bones's, trying to read the dynamic. The situation's fine. Those guys haven't been back. Yet, Bones said, his voice a low rumble. But they might. Guys like that don't forget getting embarrassed. Which is why we're expanding the protection, Cole said, his eyes on Maya. I can't be here every night. I've got work, club business. But we're going to make sure someone's here when you get off shift. So you're never walking to your car alone. Maya's mind spun. You're assigning me bodyguards? We're making sure you're safe, Reaper corrected. Club voted on it. You're under our protection now. The weight of that statement settled over her. I don't understand. I'm not part of your world. You are now, Bones said simply. Whether you meant to be or not, you're connected to us. To Cole, which means your family. And we protect family. Maya looked at Cole, trying to understand what she'd stepped into. He pushed off from his bike and closed the distance. I know this is a lot, he said quietly. And if it's too much, if you want out, say the word and we walk away. But if you're serious about this, about us, then this is part of it. The club takes care of its own. That includes people we care about. People you care about. Maya repeated the words, testing them. Yeah. Cole's jaw tightened. I care about you. More than I probably should after a week, but I do. Which means the club cares about you too. This is how we work. Maya looked at the 3 men standing in the parking lot. Leather vests, tattoos, the kind of men that most people crossed the street to avoid. But they were here because Cole had asked them to be. Because in their world, protection was love language. Okay, she said finally. Okay. Reaper nodded. Smart. We've got a schedule worked out. Cole will be here when he can. When he can't, one of us will be. You won't always see us. Sometimes we'll just be watching from the street, but someone will be here. Thank you. Don't thank us yet, Bones said. But there was something almost friendly in his expression. You're dating Cole. That's punishment enough. Cole flipped him off without heat, and Reaper laughed. Come on, let's give them privacy. The 2 men walked to their bikes and roared off. Cole and Maya were left alone again, but the space between them felt different now, charged with new meaning. This is really what you want? Maya asked quietly. To bring me into your world like this? I want you safe. Everything else we can figure out as we go. Cole stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her face. But yeah, if you're asking if I want you in my life, the answer's yes. I want you, Maya. All the complications that come with it. Your club brothers are going to be watching me get into my car every night. Yep, that's not normal. No, it's not. Cole's thumb brushed across her cheekbone. Nothing about this is normal. But normal wasn't keeping you safe. This is better. He was right, and Maya knew it. She'd been vulnerable before, and now she wasn't. That came with a price. Privacy, independence. But it also came with something she'd never had, the absolute certainty that if something went wrong, help would come. "Take me home," she said suddenly. Cole's eyes sharpened. "Maya, you said when I was sure, you wouldn't hold back. I'm sure, I've been sure, so take me home. Your home or mine?" "Yours." Maya held his gaze, willing him to see that she meant it. "I want to see where you live. I want to cross that line. I want all of it, Cole. Tonight." She watched him war with himself, the protective instinct battling with the desire burning in his eyes. Finally, the desire won. "Get in your car. Follow me." His voice was rough. "And Maya? Last chance to change your mind, because once we get to my place, once I get you alone, I'm not going to be able to stop." "Good," Maya said. "I don't want you to stop." She drove behind his motorcycle through Bakersfield's late-night streets, following his taillights as they headed east. He lived in a small house on a quiet street. Nothing fancy, but well-maintained, with a detached garage. Cole pulled into the driveway and killed the engine. Maya parked on the street and got out, her heart hammering as she walked up to where he stood waiting. He'd already removed his helmet, his dark hair disheveled. "You're sure?" he said one more time. Not a question, but giving her one final exit. "I'm sure." He unlocked the front door and let her inside. The house was spare but clean. Minimal furniture, a few motorcycle magazines on the coffee table, a weight bench visible through an open door. It looked like exactly what it was, the home of a man who spent most of his time elsewhere. Cole locked the door behind them, and the click of the bolt felt significant. Maya turned to face him, and whatever restraint he'd been holding on to finally snapped. He crossed the space in 2 steps, his hands framing her face, his mouth claiming hers with an intensity that stole her breath. Maya responded with equal hunger, her fingers tangling in his vest, trying to pull him closer. He walked her backward until her spine hit the wall, using his body to pin her there. "Tell me what you want," he growled against her mouth. "You, all of you, everything you've been holding back." Cole made that sound again, rough and desperate, and lifted her. Maya's legs wrapped around his waist and he carried her down the hallway to his bedroom. The room was dark, illuminated only by streetlight filtering through the window. He set her down on the bed and stepped back, and for a moment they just looked at each other. This was it, the point of no return. "I'm not gentle," Cole said, his voice strained. "Not when I want something this badly. If that's not what you want, it's what I want." Maya sat up, reaching for him. "I don't want gentle. I want real. I want you exactly as you are." Something in his expression shifted. Relief mixed with desire so intense it was almost frightening. He pulled his vest off, then his shirt, revealing a torso covered in detailed ink and muscle earned from hard labor. Maya's breath caught, and when he reached for her, she went willingly. They fell into each other, with weeks of pent-up tension finally released. Cole kissed her like he was trying to consume her, his hands everywhere learning her body with focused intensity. When he finally stripped away her clothes, his eyes raked over her with raw hunger. "You're so fucking beautiful," he said roughly. "Been thinking about this every night." He made good on that promise. Cole was intense, demanding, overwhelming in the best possible way. He took control completely, guiding her through waves of pleasure that left her gasping. But underneath the dominance was care, attention, a focus on her responses that made it clear he was taking as much from her pleasure as his own. When it was over, they lay tangled together, both breathing hard, both struggling to process what had just happened. Cole's arm was wrapped around her waist, holding her against his chest, and Maya could feel his heart hammering against her back. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "Better than okay." Maya turned in his arms to face him. Yeah. He brushed hair away from her face, his touch gentle now. It was. They lay there in the darkness, and Maya felt the reality settling over her. She'd crossed the line. She was in this now, fully committed to whatever being with Cole meant, and instead of fear, all she felt was certainty. "Tell me something," she said softly. "Something real about you that nobody else knows." Cole was quiet for a long moment. "I'm scared," he finally said, "of fucking this up, of you realizing you made a mistake, of something happening to you because of who I am." He paused. "I haven't felt like this about anyone in a long time, maybe ever, and that scares the hell out of me." Maya's chest tightened at the raw honesty. She reached up to touch his face. "I'm scared too, but I'm here anyway. We'll figure it out together." "Together." Cole repeated the word like a promise. "I like the sound of that." Maya fell asleep in his arms, in his bed, in his world. And when she woke hours later to early morning light, Cole was still there, still holding her. And she knew with absolute certainty that she'd made the right choice. Whatever came next, complications, dangers, the challenges of merging her world with his, they'd face it together. Because some things were worth the risk. Some people were worth crossing every line for. Cole was hers now, and she was his. And that was enough.